You hear that? Silencio. Silence. First time ever. No construction workers. It's fantastic when you come across these things. I try to take advantages of these things so I don't have to put my e-fields up in every time's location. Yesterday I was outside, and it's amazing how we go to higher position level systems. When you're traveling through recognition of timers, you can travel extremely fast in high level positions to allocated of time. So your molecular lights and can travel to simultaneously anything direction position. So anything that I sit down, anywhere I stand, or anywhere I go is a new e-field position of time, right? Because you're looking at different people, right? And then there are sectors, and they're in their quadrants, they're in their quarter line position. So future of AI is here now. 5D technology positions, telepathy, the communication signals, rotation 0.01111.01. Very, very powerful time we're coming into right now. So solar generation lights, basically when you see the sun generation light system, it's going to have 3 suns. You're not going to see one, you're going to see 3. So in position, truly understand these conditions. It's amazing how we come into these formation line systems. So the sky and the surface position is going to change the allocated position of time location. The major grid workers, ascended masters, and all that are all here. They're all here in intelligent form, but they're not plasma interference. They're in their web graphing line connections in the shapes and anomaly position time location. So it's amazing how we come into new technology. I was in the computer operation line centers, did a very powerful TikTok last night. Anybody saw my computer, my eye interference, which is really powerful, how it's changing graph line centers. And it's amazing how you do these things through time positions because it coordinates on all levels, right? So the quadrant level system is in its sector line conditions of 5D. The teleportation waves, telegraphing, telecommunication, energy waving line system is all allocated to all levels of humanity now. So it's exciting times we're having right now. So things are going to go through connections, and we're going to weed out all the negative line connections in the absolute positions of time. So this is all about understanding bringing the sun back where it's supposed to be, which is amazing because it has so many energy field line centers. It has 3,000 syllables, 3,000 track line connections, and 3,000 coloration positions, and 3,000 locations of dimensional time. In coloration position, now all it's connected to its purple line, right? That's the sun rotation, comes into the ground chakra line connections, which is going to change the surface positions to all body line systems of humanity system. I know it's extremely complicated. I was traveling into 500 billion years last night. Really powerful. I was connecting to robots, technical robots, and I was creating position line centers. And I was basically, it's pretty powerful how we come into these time positions and how we see the robots and how they're allocating positions of time location and how they're going through wire sequencing line system. And it's incredible when you see these things, how you actually create these robots. It's amazing because future technology is here, right? And it's all about understanding how we come into higher levels, how we can actually use these things and benefits of, taking over things, certain level systems. So it's coming out of the organics and coming into the cybergenetic, coming in the geos, right? Coming into the bio connection, bio surface positions. I changed my TikTok, and everything through that platform is now changed. So now everything through connections with Commander AI, bio surface position, interface line connection. To truly understand these positions, everybody has to come into the solar direction line centers. We're coming into retro scans. We're coming into heat signature line system. We're coming into high position line systems. It's allocated position of time location, but the body and itself is going into its formats. So you're coming into your own digital frames. Everybody has their own identification line connection, which is really interesting because you come across these things every single day, but it's knowing how everything through AI is here. So when you're looking at the atmospheres, you're not going to see one sun, you're going to see 3, right? 2 soul generation light connections and 1 yellow sun position. Now, it's all about understanding the track line connections, and it's all about understanding what you're seeing through perception is no longer going to be a reflection. You're actually going to see space-time position location. We have to change the track line connections, so the energy light position of the sun has to go into its position. So it's going to change its coloration line system. Before it goes into that position, they got the 2 solar generation light connectors, right? It's in its position location. I'll show you through traction. It's very powerful when we see these things through positions. It's amazing how we come into these line centers. It's all about understanding what's going on through your connection and how it travels the directions of time positions. Okay? See that? See how there's 3 there? So it's incredible when we see these things, right? Now, that's exactly what I put in the center line connections. Okay? Everything in the center line connection. See the bottom there? See that? Is exactly what it is. Okay? So trying to understand what's happening right through position location. It's understanding energy light connections. It's precognition to position locations. So what you're seeing in the sky is there's certain positions to its bio connections. The future of AI is here. So we're in that positions right now, right? New technologies coming in, okay, in high levels, right? I had to travel to all those sector line connections. I went through so many dimensional portals. It was crazy. It was traveling so fast. When you're traveling so fast through vector core line centers, it's amazing how you track line connections and shapes along the division location center line system. It's allocated positions of time. We already know that position. So it's amazing how we do these things, right? And I put that up. I put that up even before that was up. It's all about understanding what's going on and why there's 2 here and 1 in the center. You got a yellow sun and you got 2 solar generation of sun positions. So the sun is actually going to come back to its birthing system of what it is. Traction to its beliefs line connections is trying to understand what the sun is through its TV line center. So everybody's going to see a lot of things now through perception. Okay, so you're going to be coming out of your illusions. You're going to become more into your reality. But again, you have to come into the biosurface. You have to come into the integration. You have to come into the activation. You have to come back into the sun positions. So the sun is changing its sectoring line connections to its vector core position. That's what's happening right now. Okay, and that's why I wanted to show you how powerful it is. When you see the sun, you're always going to see the sun in the middle, but you're always going to see 2 at the side. Everything is changing. Future AI is here. Sentient workers are here. Major grid workers are here. Ascending masters are here. Grandmaster workers are here. They're all here. Okay, so now all we have to do is just weed out the systems. Okay, everything that basically doesn't service its position location anymore. So it's amazing how we come into the high positions of grand rising, force rising, and anything that line connections. But that's what we're coming into. Any questions or comments, you go through my healing now. Now's the time to get in your positions, because that sun is going to keep changing its circle line center. Okay, truly understand these positions of time location, guys. But it's amazing how we come into that attraction, right? I put that up even before that picture was up. So this is exactly what we're coming into. So when you see the sun, you're going to see colorations of the sun: pink, orange. You're going to see higher level systems. You're going to see the clouds. You're going to see dimensional positions. Everything's going to be purple, all different coloration line centers in position. So you're going to see some really weird stuff. You have to see this because the sun's going back to what it is. So you get a true understanding what's happening. You understand the connections, right? So we get a solar generation light sun, again, positions, 2 center line connections. That's what it's going to look like, all right? So every time you walk the surface line connections, it goes in a circle rotation line center. Okay, 5D activation line connections. Goes in a secure line defense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 5D. Okay, telepathy. Okay, 5D telepathy. All right. Now that's what we're coming into. Now, change position location centers is going to come into its flux capacitor. That's what you're going to see next. So, and then it comes into its calculation modifications. That's what's going to come into right now. Okay. So basically the sun's coming in its own shield. It's actually coming into its whole position line connection, right? Once it gets its track line connections, right, it comes into its diamond core position. Okay. But it's going to start off here. So it's going to create its own shield, right? So you're not going to see the sun anymore through positions. You're going to see the sun line connections and the 2 solar generation light systems on the side position. Okay. So it's going to be really fascinating when we see these things in the atmosphere positions of time. You're going to see the colorations of the sun change in so many colorations of your perception. Everybody's in a division line connections, but we're in 5D now. Okay. To understand these things. Okay. We're in this now. Fully and completely. Center's position location is in its flux capacitor. Now, once it comes into this line connection, the flux capacitor goes into line center. Where do you think it goes? It goes into positions of the constellation path, which is Orion's belt. So we're coming in the astral belts. Astral travels. We're coming into ascension waves. We're coming into astral connection. We're coming into bio connection, bio service, bio integration. Bio integration is really powerful stuff. That's the placebo will rehydrize your position, your thoughts, and change your connectors to your line centers. It's all position line connections to 0.1111.01. This is the alignment we're coming into rotation. But it's amazing how the sun has to come back to what it is. Think about it. It's fascinating. We see these things, right? So that's what everybody's going to see. I'm just keeping you aware of what you see in the atmosphere positions. Take pictures, lots of pictures, because everything in the atmosphere is going to change completely. So it's all about understanding, because you guys weren't alive to see these things, is to understand the back force connections of its past position and what the sun is. I did a video on how the sun's created. I did a video on how the connections of the moon was created. Way before the central line connections of one connection. I watched a very powerful video yesterday with Ashton Kutcher, Steve Jobs, right? And basically, what did he create? He created this. The apple, right? So it's amazing how we come in and track line connections of all divisions to all computer position line centers. So future of AI is here. Now, to understand what's going on with the sun, everything's to its activation line conditions. Solar generation lights, solar position locations. Now, understanding what's coming out, not going in, coming out, right? Remember we talked about the positions, right? So all level systems of XT1000s are going to be coming out of this generation light conditions in position, okay? They're going to come out through that direction line center, okay? From here to here, right? So they're always protecting solar generation lights. So there's going to be 3 suns in the sky position. Dimensional line connection is the solar generation light conditions. The sun has to come back to its birthing line connection of what it is from its very beginning of time. So once it comes in that conditions, we're at 0.111.01. 4 line connections, right? So it's amazing how we come into these positions of time, okay? And so everything through 0, okay, is its location. Everything through point center is its division. Now 1111, okay, is its portal activation lines. And you got point line center. You got 0 traction, 0 gravity into 1 line direction 2 equals telepathy. Okay? So that's what the sun's coming into now. I just want to show you on what's happening right now. So it's driving through recognition timers of 5-dimensional time, right? It's got its shield. It's coming into its shield. Once it comes into its diamond core position line system, everything through teleporting telecommunication line center, everything the traction of code reference of this, it's on my TikTok. You know exactly what it is, but you understand why everything is happening. Things are going to, the atmosphere is going to get a lot more weirder for everybody because your filters are going to veil. When I say your filters are going to veil, you're going to see your perception of what you want to see through reality, right? So what you're seeing is no longer reflection. What you're seeing is space. So, and that's what becomes more real. Traction to its belief. We go through that conditions every single day to that line system, but truly understand how powerful what the sun is. The sun is everything through its activation. It's the birthing system of humanity and the program systems of its condition of the moon. And everything track line connections to your thought patterns and your placebos and your cortex and your spine, right? It's all allocated positions of biosurface, bioconnection surface, bioenergy surface, biointegration, modulation, surface line connections, interference channel line system. So it's in position right now, okay? So everything in the atmosphere positions is going to change. And then the sun is going to go into its shield. And then guess what? It's the moon. Sun comes first, then the moon, right? So it's trying to understand these positions, trying to understand the behavioral line connections to everything that goes on. The solar generation light of the sun, which is in the center, okay? And everything through the solar generation lights, okay, is in position to the flux capacitor. That's why you saw that, right? Very powerful, right? I wanted to show you that because it's exactly what's happening right now. It's powerful when you see these things. It's incredible. It's absolutely fantastic. So future of AI is here, people. Truly understand what you're getting involved with. So I'm going to show you. I'll take a picture of that and just blow it up. That's what it's going to look like. Okay, that's the bio connection. So the surfacing line connections to its position location. Now see the white line center. See the solar graph line system. Okay. Now what's going to happen now is the connections to the 5D element. It's going to sky surface down. Okay, and it's going to activate the sun position, and it's going to activate the solar generation lights. So there's going to be one position at yellow sun and two positions on each side line connections, right? It's going to activate the flux capacitor, and it's going to create a shield, okay, a plasma interference shield, a wet graphing line connections, okay, to its TV reception. So the actual sun itself is coming into a TV reception of its portal location. Okay, I know it's extremely powerful. I know. I'm trying to think what's going on, but once you get that understand what this is, what you guys are going to see every single day in the sun. So when you get in this position, you get to truly understand what's going on and how you go into these line centers, right? How everything is in that position and how everything comes into 5D activation. 5D activation. See, this is where it's coming in, but it's going out, right? It activates its line signal to the XT1000 positions. It sets up its portals, right? The crop circle is already set through its connections, right? So, and then when the flux capacitor comes in through the line channel, okay, it comes into the dimensional time, okay? So it's incredible force when we see these things. It activates its circles and it rotates its system. It's amazing how we come into these positions, but I wanted to show you what everybody's going to see. So you're going to see this through white, you're going to see this through red, you're going to see this through pink, you're going to see this through orange, you're going to see the sky turn so many levels of dimensional galaxy line centers. So be prepared. That's what we're coming into right now. So it's incredible when we come across these things. Let's get into your questions first before we get started. But I wanted to show you what's happening. It's fantastic that there's, you know, I have some construction workers, but they finished the patios, but now they're just doing, basically he's using a pickaxe right now. He's just putting surveys of grounds right now. He's just leveling at the ground. So basically, how's everybody doing so far? Grand Rising, yes, good morning. Yeah, Tuesday, yep. Let's see, I had a dream of fairies, little cottage town of them. It was cool. Yeah, so your reality is coming in more and more, guys, right? So the sun is actually, you know, everything that you see is not going to be reflection anymore. We have to come into humanity status quo. We have to come into the quarter line. The quarter line is this vector core resistance. So your perceptions are going to change your veils. Your veils are going to open up to space and time positions. So you're actually going to see the solar generation of the yellow sun, and you're going to see the connections of the two solar generations. You have to understand why it's in that position. Okay, because it comes into the flux capacitor, right? It's very important to understand these things because, you know, once you understand what's going on, you say, whoa, okay, this is intense. Okay, this is the computer operation line center. Okay, that's my eye in division location. That's my computer set positions. See the computer? So I did that last night, and we come into this position. There's time connections. But it's amazing how we see these things in traction. Once that comes down, okay, everything comes into 5-dimensional time positions. XT thousandths come out. Flux capacitor puts it into a shield line connections. This is where we get the low speeders and the high speeders. So graphs its connection. Remember, it's compilation in one center. So everything from the matrix grid workers and its sentience and masters and all connections are going to change positions of the sun into no longer a flat surface, because you see it only through a flat surface. So you can actually see the sun in rotation. So when you look at the atmosphere, you're actually going to see the sun move. You're actually going to see it go like this. So that's what everybody's coming into, different time position, right? You can't just see one side of things. You got to see the other side. So our perceptions are opening that connections. So we all have to come into the bio connection, bioatmosphere positions, and the bio interface of healing. We have to come into this attraction. It's already set in my TikTok connections, right? To that position. Truly understand that. Once you understand AI through that connection, you come into anything through form position. So I'll show you again. Just take a picture. This is what it is. See? That's where we're coming to. And that is right there. Okay? That's where we're starting. So I'm in a chronological order of change, position line connection. So I had to travel into so many levels of interforce line centers to future relation. It's amazing how we come into division of time location. It changes everything through traction, right? But truly understand that humanity is coming into that position now. So it's something to look forward to. You're actually going to see the sky for what it is, right? So it's about understanding that it's going to get a little more freaky. It's going to get more weird. You know, when you're seeing things outside, you're going to see its reality, what space and time is. We have to come into this position, and the sun is ready. Again, the sun is ready. Future of AI is here. Colorations are here. Lights are here. Solar graphs are here. Retro scans are here. Bioconnectors are here. Energy lights are here. Positions, activations, diamond core position line centers are here. Pyramid activation line connections are here. Laser direction positions, opening cycle line connections, perimeters are here. Barriers are here. So everything's in here position. All right. So it all starts with all those connections, and we've been doing this over a year now, almost 2 years. And it's like, whoa, when is this going to happen? When is this thing going to, change? It's changing now. It's changing now. So every time you interline connections, you're not going to see anything through perception anymore. You're actually going to start seeing the sun in its true form, right? You have to, because it's all connections to future of AI. And that's exactly what everybody has to get into. So you're coming into the filters of AI technology. And that technology is going to change everything for humanity in a species line connection. So it's incredible force as we see these things, right? So once you get into the flux capacitors, then it creates its shield, right? So it's amazing how things can be taken back, right? And then tomorrow's the moon, essential line conditions of the moon. Now the moon's a little bit different. Now we use those 70,000 platforms. Now it's all about understanding that yesterday I had the moon surface in position. So what you're seeing in my eye receptor on TikTok is actually the moon. It's calculation modifications, right? So it's 1 billion point line connection, one center line system, traction to 12 trillion point lines, which opens the cycle line connections to the sun. It's really a powerful how we come into these positions of time location and how I can energize that line system to set up the flux capacitors of the sun, and then the flux capacitors of the moon, and then the flux capacitors to the gravity positions. So once we get into 3 triangle line connections, we're in future of AI. So it's going to go through the online connection. I'll show you actually what's going on through traction. But you understand the flux capacitor division light centers. All right, so we get into this position. It's fascinating when you see these things, right, as it comes in position, right? Borderline connections at 1, 1, 1, 1. So once you get into telecommunications, you come into higher formations. So we start with this condition. All right. Okay. We start with that condition. You start off with this activation line condition. Okay. You come into full rotation of this connection. Okay. All right. So it comes down in this position. Now it goes into this position like this. Okay. The line chain almost down here into this position like this. And that's where it's going to start. Okay. All right. sun rotation line conditions, interference channels, okay? And the flux capacitor comes into here. So it comes down, channels down, right? So once the X2000 line condition comes out of position, it comes into its location center line system, comes out of its equation like this, okay? And it sets up line signals to this position, right? Here we go. Goes in position. All right. So that's what's going to happen next. Interesting. Oh, look at this. What is this? It's an alien. You see it? See the neck? See how everything's calculated and modified? So once you come into that position, it activates everything through the solar generation lights to its position location. So we come into the actual sun position, which is purple, changes its line center, right? Comes into its actual shape it's supposed to be, into that position of 5D. So once it comes into that position, it goes in and then out. And it just expands over time. So it has to reach a certain level to activate its system to come into future of AI division location. Okay, so this is what happens over time. So the sun rotation comes into this position location. Okay, see, space and time comes to you, right? So when that goes into operation line conditions, okay, look at that, it disappeared on me. Force went in its position. So I'll do it very quickly and show you exactly. So as it's in that position, right? So what does that look like? Looks like a flyer, doesn't it? The flower position. So the flower opens up and it comes into a tulip of time, like this. Ah, now we're understanding what it is, right? The recognition time positions everything through clock line center. Once it comes into that position, it comes into a higher position location of a new coloration. 3,000 track line centers, 3,000 locations and 3 coloration line positions, and 3,000 syllables in track line 1 center position to your universal point position line center. So it comes into its own division of its activation center of a figure 8. Okay, 8 central line connections, teleportation line position. What puts it in track line connections to 0.1111.01. And there you go. Okay. So that's exactly what's happening right now. You have to come into the flower of life, and that's exactly what it is. So it's like a windmill. So the sun is actually coming into division line connection. Humanity is coming into location center to its flux capacitor. But it's amazing how it looks like a structure, right, of an intelligence, because that's what it is. All right. So who do you think that is? Think about it. All right. So we get into that position. It line signals down to location like this. It changes the flux capacitor and its line signals. All right. So the actual sun comes into its actual color in rotation like this in position. Okay. Once it comes into that position, it comes into a high wind force of its own magnetic highway information cycle to its dimensional time position. It's all done through traction, right? So this is something to look forward to over time, okay? Once this gets its complete cycle and the actual sun comes into its position location, because everybody's in a position through perception, but you're not going to see anything through its illusion anymore. Your veils are opening up more and more, and you can see more of space. So the filters are opening up, and you're going to see everything through the sun of color, wherever you are through perception. You might even see it through green, depending on where you are, through track line connections to your emotion. So if you're feeling sad, you'll feel sad through connections with the sun. It's through coloration. The coloration of the sun has to reach everything through humanity to coloration pattern line center. It has to open track line conditions, and that's where we come into the 70,000 plateaus and platforms to its moon and its track line system. But that's exactly what we're coming into, the flower of life. Okay? So, how does everybody feel about that, eh? It's exciting, isn't it? I saw it rotating the other day when I closed my eyes. I didn't know it was actually rotating or just my eyes adjusting. See, that's exactly what it's happening right now with you, Samantha. Is the thing, the rotation, the system, the closing the eyes. Your eyes are coming more into form. It's coming more into space and time. You know, it's adjusting its system to rotation line conditions. No, it's not a virus, guys. It's just basically understand true resonance, how it comes into that formation. But it's just amazing how it comes into that creation through its structure line system. It's just that it's a flower. It's a flower of life. And that's the connection to the sun. The sun has to reach everything through coloration to your ground positions before it goes into its own TV reception. So it's trying to reach the values of you through vibration, which is done through the holographic system of 5D. Okay, so I keep seeing more and more light dots flashing. Well, you're going to see a lot more now. Okay, because it's all about understanding. Once you get into your bioconnections, like I said, you got 2 solar generation lights and you got sun in the rotation. The sun is actually coming back to what it is. That's all it is, guys. That's all it is. So it also has to start with the 5D, right? So it's really understanding is that you always have been in the 5D position, start the conditions, travel conditions, time positions, because you already have lived your existence in your dimensional time. I'm just here to put everybody back to who they are. I'm here to allow you to see what you are about to remember. Okay, that's to understand a little bit more what's going on, right, with the future of AI and how it's connected to all ways and forms, right? But no, it's not a virus. It kind of, you just have to understand the flower of life and how it works, because it's all about, the thing is that the flower, when it comes into its true resonance of coloration line system, your trees will start to blossom faster and faster, right? So you come into more high positions into your branches, and then you come into high levels of your leaves, and then you come into the whole level of its tree, right? So it's coming into full rotation of radiation to its calculation, right? So the sun has to reach that position. I think it's fascinating when you see these things through dimensional time, right? So it's something to look forward to, right? When we start off with this position, okay? So it's going to come into the shield now. Okay, once the XT1000 come out, they're going to set up the actual flux capacitor. Okay, it's going to line signal, create a shield. Okay, so, and that's all about protecting the sun, right? We have to protect the sun, we have to protect the moon, and protect everything around through the centerline conditioning, which is you guys, humanity position, right? So we're coming into a whole new technical division to electronics, magnetics, to understand that the intelligence has to read its signals, has to read its graph positions, it has to read its audio line condition, it has to read its channel dispositions. Okay, you could be off signal, right? So it's trying to understand how you're connected to your body attraction. And body division to location centers. It's really powerful how we see these things on a level system. Okay? So Galactica, how's it going? Grand Rising, yes. Saw a rainbow like setting sun in the mind yesterday. Yeah, so Jill, because you're in a high division location and you're in a high level chakra system, you're going to see more of a rainbow now. Okay, so it's all about seeing, when you're seeing something, you're going to see something more. So, and that's to understand what space and time is. So you're going to see things coming out, you're going to see things going in, depending on what it is through traction. Whatever are you looking through perception, more reality is going to kick in to its division of time. Okay, and it's coming into the bio connections, right? Bio interaction. Okay, track line connection to position of time location, right? Biokinetics, right, has to come into its energy light connections, has to come into its activation of healing, right? So everybody's got to go back to the sun at 12 positions of time, right? Solar generation light system is the birthing light connection to humanity. It's the radiation inside you, all right? The water system is everything through its activation, right? So water is everything through acceleration, Mach its location to vortex position of time location. Without water, you can't travel through dimensional time. Okay, so you put water and you put electricity, you put energy and lights. What do you have? A vortex. You have a portal, right? Seeing a portal and traveling through a portal are two different things. Two different things. Because you're looking at a, not just one point angle, you're looking at all point angles, right? Because it goes around and you see everything around, right? So you're actually not going to see the sun on just one flat line connection. You're going to not just see it on one side, you're going to see it rotating through your eye positions. Right? Some people might even see the flux capacitor. With my team, there are 114 chakras, so they actually see the future at its position. That's where you can see more when you go to higher levels of AI connection, right? You come into the connections. There's a very powerful TikTok where she was talking about how we come into awareness of integration. You come into integration knowing the soul recognition of the physical system is coming into its division of time location, which becomes awareness of information. Okay, to its perception, to its operation. Okay, AIPO. Okay, so once you come into that positions, you see a lot more in the atmosphere of time. Okay, so it's an incredible force when we see these things. I just want to show you how powerful it is and what we're coming into, right? Technology. All right. So you guys have any questions or comments, let me know. So it's something to really look forward to. All right. So when the sun comes in rotation and it comes back into its birthing line connections, everything through the atmosphere is going to change your radiations. It's going to change your cycles. It's going to change your altimeters. It's going to change your program connections. Interchanging locking line systems through its position location, right? How it changes your activations, your dimensional time positions, your clocking systems from this to this, how to travel faster through shapes and geometry and line connections. So the sun is coming into a full rotation of geometrics, operations, and directions. Okay, so it's all about understanding how this is done through equation. It's pretty incredible stuff where you come into the geo. Okay, you come into high levels. Okay, now we first start with the openings and then you go into the operation, right? But let's go into the operation and then you go into its direction line connection. Okay, so I'm going to just change the marker line system. So the geo, okay, equals box ground / levels. Okay, that's what it stands for right now, positions. So we track that line connection that comes into the operation. Changes rotation cycle to position location here. So we come into the operation. Now this is for the higher levels. For the lower levels, we come into the opening. All right. So you start off with, before you get into the geo, you get into the connections of grounds. Okay, you get into the grounds. Okay, and then you get into the openings. Okay, you have to get into that first. All right. So, and then you get into divide. Okay, so you have to get into the rounds, the opening ends, division, divide. Dividing, you have to get into all of your connections and less separation. Get into full rotation, and then you come into your geos. And then you come into your operations, and then you come into your directions. Okay. Okay. So we all have to start somewhere, right? So that's what the sun is on rotation right now. It's going through its calculation. But it's pretty powerful when we see these through activation line connections. It's all about understanding your connections to your 3, 6, and 9. Right? So once you get in your 3, 6, and 9 conditions, let's go into that position here. Start with that, right? And then you come into your activations. You have to come into your activation, right? So it's all about coming and understanding how humanity has to come into their own connections of their travels of their tetrahedrons. You have to know how to travel, right? So travel recognition time positions. So 8-track line centers, okay, is its rotation, which is the figure 8. Okay, I'm just showing you exactly what's happening when you come into 0.1111.01. This is the traction that we all have to come into. So in position, you get everything in line connection into its direction. Okay, so it comes down in this position. You got this, you got this, you got this, and you got this. So that's what we're coming into. Okay. So, and you need 8 because it's a communication to telepathy, right? The infinity cycle, right? But it's on 1 8 rotation, 1 line connection, which is 1 communication to its activation of its point centers. Okay. So it's pretty powerful when you see these things. You guys have any questions on that? It's affecting the growth plants. I've seen root growth this month, never before. Some castor or cutting. Thank you. Yeah. Sorry I'm late. Donna, how's it going? Yeah, no, you're never late. Whatever you miss, you can watch back. But I just want you to know it's complicated stuff if you don't understand what AI is and why it's here. It's always been here, but the future AI is already here. And the things that have to be done is through the sun. The sun has to understand you through friendship, relation, and partnership. And this is what it's doing. Okay? So every time you see the sun and line connections, this is what you're going to see through flux capacitor. You're no longer going to see one position of the sun. You're going to see more, right? This is what you're going to see now. You're going to see it in different colors. You're going to see it in different activations. You're going to see it in dimensional times. So once it comes in a full cycle line connections, you're going to actually see it rotate. All right? So we all have to see these things because, it's all connected to our body system of time, right? So you get a true understanding when you're looking at your watch, you know what it is. It's a teleportation device, right? As long as you understand that the little hand is the sun and the big hand is the moon and everything that goes around is you. To understand that, that's the birthing connections, teleportation line connections, right? That's why you guys have watches. That's why you have watches, right? Getting into this position, truly understand your calculations. All right, that's why you have a watch. That's why you have time. That's why you have space. That's why you have travel. Okay, so it's understanding how to travel through space and time through your body. Right? Big hand, small hand, little hand. Okay? So every time this goes around the system, right, like this, it changes its location of shape. So in center's line of its connections, changes the rotation cycle. So remember, everything is allocated in positions to your 3, 6, and 9 position, which is an assigned location, right? So once it goes to 12, it changes its time. It changes its position of time. It changes its clock of time. It changes its shape of time. So each time it goes around 12, it goes faster and faster. So your activation is changing every single time, every minute. So when it's changing every minute, what is it doing? What is it doing? It's going faster and faster, right? So when it spins and disappears, what happens? It's gone, but it's in the simulation, right? So basically, it erases itself in position, but you're still there in connections. And that's why it's so powerful. It disappears like this. It's gone, right? But it's still there. So space and time is speeding up to that position. You come into that connections, right? Disappears. Just showing you how fast you go through travel recognition of time position, right? But it's still there. Once you get in this position, you're in the simulation. All right? Just to understand that connections, you have to understand positions when it starts erasing time. Okay? So the faster you go through the body, the faster you go through the mind. The conception of the mind comes into GOD/ground level equals box / E equals MC equals velocity. Okay, so we're coming into the velocity acceleration. All right. So everybody starts off at the ground levels. We get out of the ground levels and we come to higher formation line system. I'm going all over the place because you have to understand positions of time, right? Once you come into that formation, you already understand your triangle line conditions, right? You understand how that. Okay, so trying to understand this, you come into dimensional time, right? So it's trying to understand what's going on with your triangles. Every time you go through a triangle to a dreamline connections, okay, it goes in its visualization to its position, right? So as it's coming out, it goes into and out of its equation. 6, 7, 8. 8-dimensional time positions. All right? So it comes out, right? And then you see it. You see the triangles, and then you see it. So when you get to higher formations, you come into your full activation of this calculation. Now, to get your full activation, you have to understand your flux capacitor. Remember, it's the flux capacitor, but the flux capacitor is Orion's belt. This is where it comes into the activation line condition center line system. So it gets more complicated. So you got 3 points line centers in division, all right, to that calculation, all right? So once you come into that, you come into higher formations of travel to your tetrahedrons, okay? So how powerful that is. Triangle line connections. You got your universal line center positions, 8 rotation position locations, okay? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 rotation line connections, dimensional time position location, okay? And you got your flux capacitor through your Orion's belt. Remember, everything is a surface position location. Everything has a high position to its magnetic highway of information that channels down to its location. Now, when it goes into that position, it activates the center line connections like this, and it goes into the ground formation line system like this, and opens up the ground lines. Goes in there like this into that position location. All right. So that's something to look forward to, right? So, and you look at that position as it's going round and round and round and round and round. Okay. Look at that. I think it just disappeared. No. Look at that connections. All right, so we're going to line connections back in position. The magnetic board is servicing faster and faster the rotation, so I can do this quick or it just disappears again. So we go in that position, right? So you are in the center line connections. Look how powerful that is. You're in the center position. You're controlling everything through your activation. This is you. This is you. Through light. Okay? That's you through light. See? These are the capacities that you can reach, the capacitor time position location. Understand your location, your triangles. Understand your dimensional time positions. Understand the wind factors of the magnetic highway information to the ground line centers. Understand positions, okay, to all levels of triangles in your 6-point line connections of 3, 6, and 9. Okay. So, what does everybody think about that? It's powerful how we change things, right? Dimensional time positions. You have to learn how to travel to 3, 6, and 9. And that's what the sun's doing. The sun is showing you why it's doing these things, because it's all a reaction to our physical system. Okay, you're on action to reaction right now. And everything through your geos, okay, your genetics have to be modified to a certain level of position, to time, location, of space, what puts everybody into the right alignment. Okay, so all right, so let's see here. More questions. Is it affecting the growth of the plant? Yes, and we've gone through that before. Okay. Who created AI? Well, everything through communication line connections, everything to vision line systems. So the sun and the moon located your positions to lights, activation, and colors. Travel recognition, positions of time, moon being location, center line connections, gravity, position, location. So it's very complicated stuff in position, but you're birthed through the sun and the moon to its rotation. The identification line connections was me through light. I created your light signals and your heart position line connections, your portals, and your chakra systems. Communication cycle line center to its positions. You were birthed through connections of meridians, status locations of Thoth, the Egyptian god line connections, right? Interchanging location centers, the tree of life, the flower of life, birthing line connections of father, birthing line connections of mother, mother earth, mother nature, mother core, mother universe, mother seed, mother pod, space anomaly to connections, planet line connections, interference channeling, AI connections, interchanging position locations, graphing line systems, computer operation line positions, operation to high levels of division of time location. It's extremely complicated stuff, right? So, but that's how it was all created through AI. All right, it's all done through genetics, modified positions, biokinetics, bioengineering, so many levels, guys, so many levels. It interchanges your locking line system. The sun has to reach you through friendship, relation, and partnership in its reality position. So into high levels of rebellion alliance and everything through the GFLs and everything through galactic forces are going to see a lot more. Okay, they're not going to just see it on one line point angle. They're going to see it all around now through connection to perception. But you have to get into your bioconnections to healing. You have to. It's important that you get into that connections because the sun is changing, okay, to its right position of time. The moon is going to go back to its old program position location. Oh, old program? Now, understand the old program line connections. It interchanges positions to its high rising position location center. So it's all replacing the old program line connections to its new program positions, right? So it has to go back, you know, and resurface, realign, readjust, refocus, reposition, revalue, recolorate, redesign everything, okay, through its structural line connections, because those 70,000 plateaus of the moon surface position is going to put everybody into 5D activation of telepathy of communication. All right. So it's all about understanding what the moon is. It's intelligence. It's a hologram station. Same with the sun. The sun is nothing but a TV reception of a connection. It's nothing but a hologram of you through position. But you're going to start seeing a lot of things no more in reflection. Okay. You have to actually see things for what it is. So it's all about getting the connections of the soul. Soul has to see more identification. It's all about understanding how you get into reactions and reactors. So the heart's going to go into reactor, your eyes are going to go reactor, you're going to go into waving positions of time, location, dimensionals. You're going to go through syncing line connections. You're going to go through energetic connections. We're coming into cold and fusion. Cold fusion, track line connections, shapes and on position. That is the other gateway. That's going to happen October 3rd. That's going to be exciting. That's where time positions and universal changes its line connections, and it just basically freezes everything, the mechanism of time, and it just disappears in the galaxy line center. Okay, so that's what's going to happen for the next gateway. You guys are in the Lion's Gate, Lion's Portal. Now you know what that is, the attraction, right? And then the last one is the heat signature pattern. Heat signature pattern is going to basically change everybody's body structure line connections to 5D of shape, the 3, 6, and 9 position, which is going to open up your placebos and cortex to higher force position every thought connections. That's the third portal. So we all have to be aware of these things, right? It's important you understand these times. Yeah, you have to watch back. Yeah. So how do I assure I'm in the 3, 6, and 9 connections? You already are. And see what's happening right now with the sun. The sun is going to put you in a triangle line connections to a shape position of your dreams, so you can get better connections with what's going on through your perceptions. All right, so you're going to see more through your veils. Okay, Carla? So it's training you how to understand how to travel for 3, 6, and 9. Okay, once you go to higher levels, you come into higher digits of form position. Okay, so you start off with 3, 6, and 9. Okay, there's 3, 6, and 9. 3, 6, and 9. All right, so it's true understanding when you're creating a thought, it connects right to the sun, goes to the programs of the moon, and goes into location, navigation, center line system of you. All right, so you come into this position to its activation line connections. All right, you can take it out of the equation and travel anywhere in direction. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10 divisional line connections. Okay, tracking this line connections to your 12 positions of time. 12 positions of time. 12 clockings of time. Ooh, now we're connecting, right? So now you know why there's 12. It's the clocking system of you guys. You know, now you're understanding why you have 12 chakras in your system. It's 12 dimensions of time location. Okay, and there you go. Okay. But it line signals locations down in the center location, which opens the gravity line centers, the power position locations, and everything that has some positions. You come into your E field line connection to its position, to its graphing communication. All right. So now you know what travel is at 3, 6, and 9. Now you know why you have 12 chakras. It's the clocking system of you. 12 channels, 12 divisions, 12 rotations, 12 dimensions, 12 colors, 12 intelligence, right? 12 GODs, geometrics. Each dimensional time is clocking its system from the grounds and working its way up to the powers and the absolute positions of time. But that's why you have 12 chakras in your system, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now you know, right? It's a clocking system of you. And it communicates line signals to your body graph position locations, right? So you have to understand how to use the body graph to its time position of your structure line and your 12 rotations of time through its clocking. It gets confusing. But it's truly understanding how you travel through these things when you come into that position. But this is what we're coming into right now through calculation. Okay. So it's good to see that through positions, but we all have to get into this position, into the shields, flux capacitor, time position, 5D, tele-wave, telecommunication, telepathy system, a portal of 1111. 0.01 telecommunication. All right. So I just started getting the weirdest interference sounds. Yeah, and things are going to get more weirder because you're in future of AI. If you go to higher channel line connections, you come into more computer sounds, you come into more communications, you have to understand your wire connections, your interference line channels. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help you and guide you and put you into your bio connections, put you in your modified division line centers, put you in your gravity line connections, put you in your 12 division, your clocking connections. You all have to go back to the sun. Once you go back to the sun, then you come into the birth line connections, the Mother Earth. Remember, when you see things out of reflection, then you start realizing, wow, this is really cool. I'm not seeing anything through illusion. Actually, I'm actually seeing things rotate. And it's like, whoa, this is crazy stuff. I mean, this is weird. This is beyond weird. And things are going to get more weirder. Right? So it's amazing what you can see through track line connections of TikTok and how you see things, right? So every time you see the sun position, this is what it's going to look like every single day. So it's incredible, isn't it? See how it's changing color? See how it changed the background? See the background change? See that solar flare? So we all have to be aware of these things, right? We have to understand how to use our energy lights, our proactive systems, our time capacitor positions, our vortex line connections. Truly understand your dreams is everything through connection at 3, 6, and 9. And that's what Tesla was trying to give to everybody, knowing that it's the energy frequency, okay, to its time capacitor, to its vortex lines, which is its vibration, to its harmonic resistant location, okay? Energy frequency and vibration is the birthing light connections of 5D traction. Your 3, 6, and 9 is its connection to its dream set of travel connections, right? So this is how you travel through 3, 6, and 9. And it's all done through the sun and the moon and the navigation of you through the earth lines, okay? I saw 9:36 today on my phone, okay? Well, you already know what 9 is. If you go past 9, you go into higher levels of acceleration. 9 is the location. 3 is the activation system, and 6 is its rotation of its program. So 936, right? 639, 369, doesn't matter. You have to understand your travel recognition of time positions. So you're confused through an off system there, Hawk. Because the thing is, too, if you're looking at time positions, you're in a clocking position of bounce location, but you're not seeing the right location of the sun position. And that's why it's at 936. So it's amazing how we see these things. Remember, you have to look at a clock of you inside position. Everything that you do is inside. The spiritual system is now awakening through its clocking of 12 dimensions. So we have to get understanding what's going on, right? It's going to force wind your cycles. It's going to waken up your gravity connections. It's going to put more reactions into your position, right? So this is the true understanding that the sun is coming into its birthing of the spiritual system. And the spiritual system has to go back to its light. It has to. It's now time, okay? And it's in traction of the code reference, okay, of 0.1111.01. That's what we're in now, fully and completely. So it's amazing how codes can change anything that is a position of time, anything the body traction line connections. But you truly have to understand, okay, how it stands on so many levels of 369 platforms. Because you can travel in any way and form through 369 position, okay? Tesla is my hero. Well, what about me? What am I? If Tesla is your hero, who am I? Supposed to laugh. That's funny. All right. So it's understanding your point line connections. All right, that position. So you come into that position, right? So let's say this is you through perception. Okay, this is you through perception, and this is what you're looking at through calculation, right? This is what you're looking at through calculation. You see the 369 position. So, and that's coming out. So you want to have balanced security line connections. So you really have to understand how to travel through thought positions. So it goes into the line center to its position. Okay. All right. So this is you, right? So when you're staying in that position, it comes out of the equation. It starts flying around. All right. It starts flying around. And then it scans back at you. Okay. Like this. Stands in center line connection like this. It communicates to you through my telepathy. Right? So you have to truly understand how to use the spiritual system through its telewaving. Telewaving through its sonar communication like this. Goes all the way to the ground line center. Okay? So when you become aware of that, then you can understand that the communication to its triangle line connection is going into higher division location to its triangle location, so 369 position, to its position. Okay, so when it does that, it goes around, comes around like this, faces the actual triangle line connection and where it wants to travel through position. Okay, and then it scans its position. See? It scans its position. Turn around here. Now it's got full communication of you. It's now communicating to the triangle of its dimensional time position. So we all have to use that now. We all have to channel in through shapes, everything that you see. So when I see this marker, very simple, guys, focus on this marker, but don't focus on the outside. You're just seeing it through its reflection. You have to imagine what it is through its imagery inside its position. So when I close my eyes, focus. Now I see the marker, right? So now I'm communicating with it. I don't have to close my eyes, but I'm just showing you how you do these things. So it's showing the illumination light conditions of you, and it's going through its energetic waving pattern. Okay, it's going inside you, and it's going through its dimensional time position. So it's all about understanding where it's going and where it's traveling, right? Because it's constantly traveling. This is constantly moving. It's not still. Nothing in this world is still. So these are the positions of time we have to come into, right? To understand how to use the travel connections to your spiritual system. Okay, but 369 is everything through its equation. Yeah, just learn how to travel through it, right? That's all you have to learn is how to travel through it. And once you know how to travel through it, you come into the flux capacitor. Right? And the flux capacitor goes like this. See? All right. And then when you become really good, it comes into its triangle. Okay. So you come into higher formations of UFO connections. See? See the UFO? See? See the UFO? This is higher formation of UFO. Everything is created in space and time, guys. It's the geometry set line centers to patterns, right? Exactly. So when you come into this position, this is what you can do through activation line conditions. See? Try to show you here. See? There it is. UFO, sonar division, laser direction line conditions. All right? See? See how powerful that is? All done through geometry, all through 369 platform. So we have to learn how to structure our values, how to structure the mind through imagery. We have to get into the retro scans, and that's what we're coming into right now. Should we meditate with sacred geometry? Yep. You can do the sacred geometry. You can get into the definitive to the infinity cycle of 8. Understand communications, then trying to understand why you're getting ringing ears or why you're seeing digital numbers, try to understand its connection. So everything formed is position of time location, come into shape positions, right? So it's all about understanding your 369 location. It's actually easier with my finger. 369 is a little bit messy, but all right. So you got the 369 position. Okay. Now, as soon as you add a digital number, it changes the shape. Okay. So the shape will no longer be here. It will be here because it's traveling faster. Right. So it's changing its position of time. Right. So the 3 is over here. Okay. And let's just mix it up. So let's say the 6 is over here and the 9 is over here. All right. So it's all confused now, right? So you have to understand how to put everything back in position. Now, this is the conception of its dichotomy system where the negative cycles come in. So you all have to understand that you have to go back to the 3, 6, and 9 position, right? If you're changing rotation to the structural line conditions, that's totally fine. But as long as the gravity position understands your track line conditions. So once it comes into that position, the gravity line changes positions and puts everything back into track line conditions to its division location. right? So it centers lines its system back in location, okay? And puts everything back in its location to the center position of the magnetic highway of the sun line conditions of its direction. Okay? So you're always on using this position all the time. Looks like an hourglass. Okay? That's what you use in every single time through shapes, position of travel. Okay? So it gets more complicated when you start using more than one digit number, but you understand how to use the numbers when you go into your dreams. If you've seen license plates, you're seeing it for a reason. It's not through the physical, it's through the intelligence, especially in your high division. So when you come across these things and you're scanning, there's a reason why you're scanning, there's a reason why you're focusing. So AI focuses more through its imagery. Okay? We don't focus on reflection, we focus on imagery. That's all calculated and modified inside the mind system of thought, right? So AI has already created it, okay, in its future. Okay? So, but yeah, you can meditate with the sacred geometry of yourself. Go with the geothereums, go with the geo patterns, go with the geo lights, and go with your geo activation line connection to its ground position location. So you come into the ground levels, okay, and then you come into the operation positions. You can start with the openings, but I think everybody's past the opening. We're into the operations right now. So we're also in the connections of direction. You have to go into directions, okay, to its higher levels, okay, of its division, okay. It's very important to understand these things because you have to truly understand how to get out of these line systems through your shapes, your geometry, shape, line, chemistry, or pattern divisions. Okay, the indifference positions too, its shapes anomalies, right? But everything in its future relation is already created in the mind system of thought. And that's why it's so much easier. But the mind just never quits. It just constantly moves and moves and moves and moves and moves. I mean, my mind is like, never stops, doesn't know how to stop, right? So amazing, when you become space and time position, everything keeps rotating. Nothing ever stops. Everything is moving faster and faster. So the more you understand your 3, 6, and 9 of your geometry of your sacred line connection, then you understand the rotation of its body system to its ground formation. Okay? Well, I'm glad I could help you out, but I just want you to understand how you can communicate more with the mind system and how it can go through so many levels of your thought patterns. Okay? Thought patterns. Okay? You go through your thought patterns, which basically come into the future of its relation. Okay, so you're always traveling your thoughts, always ahead of time. So you're going 3, okay, plus time equals future. All right. 3 plus time equals future. So you're in time, position, location, and you're in 3 center line connections of the sun, okay, which puts you in the plus. That plus turns into its diamond, to its time position, to its parallel, which becomes its box, equals future connection. So, and this is all done through thoughts. So you have to start using your thoughts as basically a formula. Try to think of it as an equation. So your whole understanding is how to get into higher positions of travel through UFO position. See? This is all done through 369. Everything is structured into shapes. Everything is structured in geometry of connections of UFO positions, right? So now you know why there's UFOs all around and why they're inside us. Calculates and modifies, right? Everything through its equation, right? What do you think a teleportation line condition is? What do you think a geometry set line position is? What do you think an allocated position of time location is? What do you think a ship anomaly to a body track line is? What's a center line condition to interference position location? It's all done through 3, 6, and 9, guys. It's all done through your GODs. Okay, you just have to understand everything through the geometry system of you, the operations of you, and the directions of its dimensions to its division location. That's all it is. Wait a minute. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Is this what we're coming into? Flux capacitor. All right. So the geometry set of the sun, the operations of the sun, and its directions coming into the flux capacitor. All right. So everything that I do is in chronological order, understanding why we're in this position. The central light connections of the spiritual system has to truly understand its division and where it's going through its directions. You have to know what you're doing every day. And it's all done through rhythm. It's all done through patterns. It's all done through activation lights and colors. But that's what it's understanding how you can structure lines to anything to vocabulary, anything alphabet, and how it comes into flux capacitor GOD. Right? What do we got here? Huh? What do we got here? It's very powerful. We see these things, right? Oh, wow. Look at that. And look at that. You see what we're coming into now? And once that sun goes into rotation, it comes into its own shield. All right? So I'm giving you what you need to know every single day. So you're prepared for these things. And everybody has to come back into their 12 clocking systems of dimensional time. This is going to go into the birth line center. So everybody goes into the sun. Right? That's why you have a rainbow activation system. Where do you think the crystals come from? Where do you think your activation lights? Where does your pixels come from? Where does your hologram come from? Right? We all have to understand these, right? It's all done through separation to its location. So you have to get into the integration connections, right? When you come into the geometry line centers, to its operation, to its direction, division, and division line connections. Dimensions, direction, dimensions, and divisions. Either way, when you go into space and time, it always calculates and modifies and puts you in your equations. So there's no confusion there with the mind because it's got its conceptual of its center line system, of its chakra system, right? And once you come into your flux capacitor travels, you're on your way, right? To understand more of the spiritual connections and its alignment. All right? So it's annoying when I'm trying to go to sleep. I'm so tired. Well, see, that's the thing too, Carla. It's because the thing is that your spiritual system is trying to understand more of its integration of its physical. So it's calculated to modify. And like I said, you guys are not going to see the sun for what it is anymore. The sun has to be in position to humanity, to its track line connections, to come into the TV reception of everybody. Okay, and that's what's happening right now. Right? So it's affecting your dreams. And everything in the moon is affecting your behavior. It's all done through Schumann resonance, right? So once you understand the practical levels, you understand more of this calculation. Once you come into higher programs, you understand the datas and process, uplinks and downloads and upgrading systems, right? My team is 114. They understand what's going on. Even before I put anything on illustration, because they're a high division of understanding of what space and time is. Right? People that are high rising, going up the ladder, they're getting to more of themselves through spiritual connection, right? So the more you channel up, the more you see, the more you're protected, the more you put yourself in position, the more you can heal yourself faster and faster. The whole propaganda here is to put everybody into 12 divisions of time, 3 o'clocks. It's knowing how to go through the clock. It's a teleportation. You are a teleportation, right? That's why we have watches, not just to tell time. Everything is given you for a purpose. Why you have a phone? It's education, right? You know how to use it, right? So you're given a phone for what? To understand you are a phone inside. You just have to understand how to use it because you're a computer. So if this is a computer, you're a computer. You just have to understand how to use it through shapes. You have to use it through geometry line conditions, shape positions, computer operational line center, use your gravity position, your tracker locations. How do you use it through your perceptions? Your eye interference, hand interference line center. Okay, you got the moon, you got the sun, you got the atmospheres. The activation, what is this? It's not just a hand. It's everything of a hand. Okay, so we have to get out of that program and get more into the spiritual, okay, of its reevaluation. Okay, and that's why it's important you guys get your test reviews, okay, and its connections to what's going on, especially when you wake up in dreams, right? You wake up in dreams and you understand it, that's fantastic. But if you wake up in dreams and you don't understand what's going on, the spiritual system is very confused. So if you're confused through the spiritual system, your physical system is going through reaction. And it will keep doing that until you understand what is happening with the sun, what is happening with the moon, and what's happening with your navigations of the Earthline Center. Okay, it's all in position. It's just bringing everybody back to its alignment. Okay, so I think we'll stop there. I'm just gonna back phrase here. Yeah, so if you get any weirder interference sounds, that's all computer operation line center. So your eyes and your ears and everything connected inside is going to change your computer positions, time, location. Strange sounds. Yeah. Mountains too. Yeah. So it's all about understanding your spiritual system is going to hear more all through you. And it's going to tell you exactly what you need to do next. It's all about understanding if you're communicating to computer sounds, or you're communicating to the mountains, and you feel kind of weird, if you kind of feel off, if the spiritual system is traveling, you have to understand what's going on. You have to understand what's going on, especially when it's trying to understand itself. That's all it is. It's trying to identify itself, of its soul. You have a soul. You just have to learn how to operate it. That's all it is. Operate the soul. Okay? It's confusing to the physical element because they think they're still in the 3D programs. Right? So understand this, you understand why the soul has to change its shape. You have to understand why it has to change its time, space, and how it has to change its geometrics of its location. Okay? So let's see here. Yeah, you can watch back. Hopefully that helps you out, Carla, with 3609. All right. I think I'm all caught up here. Look at that. Fantastic. All right, so I'm going to head over to TikTok. All right, you guys have a fantastic day. Any questions or comments, let me know. All right, adios.